my goodness. DJ Dee on the ones and twos as I quickly fade out because, you know, you can only play your song for like 3 seconds, 15 seconds before they just shut you down, and FB will shut you down. Yes, they will. Welcome to another episode of Day to Day with Dorothy. I am your host, Dorothy Enriquez, the principal and founder of the Communication Strategist, a boutique learning and development and leadership development firm where I help you lead from every seat you sit in. Why? Because I want to help ordinary people like you and I become remarkable leaders. Why be ordinary? When you could be, shoulder roll, shoulder roll. Yes, 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 yes. So excited to be here. I did my makeup for y'all, which, yes, I know I always do it, but I I feel like I really rallied it today and I got these poly gel nails together. I am getting better at these poly gel nails. I really like it. Has anyone tried the if you've tried them, let me know how you like it. So I want to see if I can find a dupe for this shellac color that I loved when, outside was fully open long before Rona. And I want to see if I can find that in this Model 1 gel so that I can have my A1 color, most favoritist color at my fingertips, literally and figuratively. Okay, so just to introduce the topic, today we're going to be talking about Minding My Mindset Part 2. Let me go ahead and put that on IG. Minding My Mindset Part 2. Because mindset is so important. Like, if we can't get that tightened up, pinned up, and buttoned up, as leaders, we're going to have so many issues and challenges because so much is going to flow from how we look at things, how we frame stuff up. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Uh-oh. Hold that thought. Hold on. Okay, wait. Um, so I am going live from the wrong page. Oh, well, so much for that idea. Okay, let's go live from the right page. Here we go. Look at this. All right, so now I lost my track of thought. So we're going to be talking about minding our mindset, minding my mindset part 2. Okay, I'm putting this on IG. My minding my mindset. That's like a tongue twister. Say that fast 10 times. Minding my mindset part 2. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Let me pin this. I don't think I've ever done that before. Gone live from the wrong account. Look, I have 3 Instagram accounts. So one Instagram account is for Malia, because she has her own account. One Instagram account is for TCS, and then I have my personal Instagram account. So I was going live from my personal account. It would have been even funnier if I was going live from Malia's account. That would be funny to me. So a little bit of chitter chat as we get ready to jump in. And I had some chitter chat right. Oh, I know what I kind of wanted to chitter chat about. Hi, Miss Tashay. Welcome to the show. Shoulder roll, shoulder roll. So I was asking you all earlier, what do you think about the idea of having a little chitter chat around this stuff that's been going around about Ellen DeGeneres and how toxic the work environment is at the show? And I know some people were saying, how could she not know? How could this be happening right under her nose? Because no one wants to be attached to, especially no one notable, and no one who really, kind of has a heart for people and wants to make sure that things are, righted, they make sense. No one wants to have this toxic work environment going on right under their noses. And I just wanted to lift up a couple ideas in Chitter Chat around how that could happen, right? Because people in the comments are like, how could she not know? How could this be a crazy work environment and you have no idea? So here is what happens As you elevate as a leader, something to consider as I just lift it up and drop it off for you is that one of the things that we pride ourselves on as we are accelerating our ascent, right? And we are moving up the ranks, we pride ourselves on being able to listen to the data or listen to our gut or a mix of both. And we pride ourselves on our ability to really see people, to be discerning, to know who has our best interest at heart and who doesn't. Now, what we know from the research, though, is as you ascend and get into higher and higher and more influential people, the good judgment that got you there isn't going to be the good judgment that's going to keep you there, because what we find is the higher people get, oftentimes the worse their judgment gets. But the reason why their judgment starts to get a little bit off is because everyone around them is also doing all of this extra flexing of how they show up, how they don't show up, what they say, and what they don't say. They start to monitor way more than they ever did when you were in some of those less influential, less powerful positions. And so we have to be really thoughtful as we ascend and as we go into these higher position roles, because it is very easy to not know what's going on. And here's the craziest part. You could literally ask someone at point blank range, what's going on? And they could literally just dance around the subject, not tell you something else that seems fairly aligned with what you think is going on. And then you're like, how do I squeeze the truth out of these individuals? And I think the same thing happens at organizations present day in the current climate and environment, where they bring in BIPOC, right? The Black, Indigenous, people of color. And they say, like, what is it like working here? And then the majority of the folks will be like, oh, no, it's great. I'm not experiencing any racism. This company is wonderful. I love it here. When really, they were just in the ERG meeting a couple days ago talking about, like, these people don't know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? I can't tell these people anything. Like, working here is just stressful. This is intense. But now there's a platform and no one's saying anything. This is totally, totally not the craziest, most shocking thing in the world. And so it's just something to lift up for consideration. It literally could happen to anybody. And there's like research to back up how it could just transpire that she wakes up however many years later and she's like, damn, this is a shitty place to work or a crappy place or whatever. That's how that goes down. But I'd love to know what you all think in the comments. I would love to hear what you think, or to see if you've had any of those types of experiences in your work. So to jump into minding my business part 2, couple things that I want to lift up for us to consider and think about. So worldwide, organizations spend a ton of money on leadership development, right? 356 billion, not million, $1 billion across the world gets spent on leadership development. And this is according to Brandon Hall Research Group. That is a ton of money that companies are spending on leadership development. Hi, Opulent Mind Shift and Shoulder Roll. Welcome to the show. This is Minding My Mindset Part 2. So what we also know, and if you've been kind of following along in the feed, I've been presenting some statistics this week about what companies are saying. So what we also know is that most companies, about 75+% of them say, so we're spending all this money, right? Because we know it's important, right? But we're actually not very effective at developing leaders. That's part A. And then part B is, we're not that great at cultivating leadership skills. So we know we need it. We know it's important. We know there's a gap. And we also, many companies have said, we aren't ready for the leadership transition and flip that's going to happen over the next 5 to 8 years. We're not ready. Like the succession planning's not there. That next set of leaders that we should have been cultivating and getting ready, they're not there. They're not ready. We're not ready. If any of the critical leaders that we have in place right now depart, yikes, like what are we going to do? So Harvard Business Review identifies the biggest gap, and they credit this gap in leadership to mindset, right? Companies across the world, $356 billion is being spent, yet companies are like, we suck at this. We are so bad at this. But they know that they need it. And this is why, let me tell y'all something. This is why when I am working with organizations and we are doing a leadership development series, one of the things that gets brought up constantly, wait for it, I don't know why my company always feels like they have to leave the organization to get leadership talent. Why can't they just promote from within? The reason, one of the many reasons, is because they know they're crappy at developing leaders. And so why would I promote from within when I know I did a crappy job to begin with? Of course I'm going to go get somebody from somewhere else who's probably better suited and better fitted for this. Y'all. So then that's why I would come in, right, and put together these programs or partner with my business partner to execute these types of programs so that companies can feel empowered to start promoting from within because they themselves do a crappy job, which is why they can't just decide like, okay, we're going to manage all of this internally. Sometimes they have to step outside of themselves because they're not looking at all of the pieces. A lot of times we, in a corporate setting, say there's a gap, fix it with training, teach them how to lead better, teach them how to do X better or Y better, and then that will fix it. Well, here at the Communication Strategist, our Accelerate Your Ascent process looks at 3 components together, right? Because if one of these components is off, you're kind of screwed. We look at mindset, skill set, and tool set, right? Because if your mind isn't right as you start to go down this leadership journey and go down your curated leadership path, it's going to be a mess. And if you have the skill set, but you don't have the tool set to support the skill set, then what's the point? You have to have that anchoring in there. Because what we know, especially based on what we chatted about last week, is that mindset is going to be our mental lens. This is going to determine how we see things. This is also going to determine how we make decisions and how we act, how we process. All of that is through that filter that we call mindset. That's why you could have 2 bosses. For all of my corporate hustlers that work in a matrix organization, you could have 2 and 3 bosses and all of them handle you different. And you're like, I am doing the same caliber work for boss A, boss B, and boss C. I get along swimmingly with boss C. Boss A hates me, and boss B is so waffly, I never know what to do with him. He just is so waffly. What do I do? But this speaks to mindset. That's how they could all be presented with the same exact information, that same exact information being you, how you show up, your work ethic, and then they all process it differently, right? And the way that we lead, the way we make decisions, the way we act, how we show up, how we influence is all coming from mindset. So let's do this little activity. Where did I find this activity? And it's more like a study, not really an activity, but we could do it together because we're all here just hanging out, right? So, where did I get this from? Oh, Harvard Business Review. There was an article by Ryan Gottfredson and Chris Reyna, right, where they're talking about the importance of mindset, how this ties into leadership and all of that jazz. So here are the categories, right? You have leaders who are presented with the same 4 challenges all the time. Everyone's a leader, right? And so leadership is simply influence, our ability to influence others, and get them to move into action based on our vision and all of this magic. So that's why I say it's about leading from every seat you sit in. Even if you don't have direct reports, you're still a leader, right? And you could be leading a project, you could be taking a leadership role on a board, you could be leading at home with these children, whatever the case may be. You're in these various leadership roles, tapping on and pulling against these different mindsets that you need to have in all of these different situations. But as leaders, we are all faced with challenges and failures, right? We're all faced with disagreement. where even if it's from a 2-year-old, like my 2-year-old didn't want to go to school this morning, um, we're all faced with risk and the decisions we have to make around that, and then underperforming employee. Like, what happens when she doesn't want to go to bed and it's bedtime? She is underperforming as far as I'm concerned, right? So now we've got two leaders to think about. Leader A, when it comes to challenges and failure, thinks of it as something to avoid, right? While leader B is like, oh my God, yes, this is an opportunity for me to learn and grow. So both leaders are faced with the same thing, but based on their mindset, their framework. How are they going to lift up these things to then figure out, how am I going to act? How am I going to influence? How am I going to decision? Leader A is like, I don't want these challenges and failures. Leader B welcomes the challenge. When it comes to disagreement, leader A could look at it like, oh my God, this is a total threat. This is a threat to my competency. This is a threat to my capability. This is a threat to my team. While leader B, so that's leader A, and leader B could say, you know what? This is necessary for learning. If we aren't finding ourselves in the midst of disagreement, how can we truly push ourselves? How can we truly grow? Risk. Leader A is like, oh my God, I don't want it. It's something to avoid. Leader B is like, this is necessary for obtaining rewards. Like, I mean, no risk, no reward. This is just like, this isn't rocket science. And then the last category for underperforming employees, leader A is like, all right, just get rid of them. This person is expendable. You're replaceable. It's fine. And then leader B says, you know, this is someone that we could learn from. This is someone who really needs our support. Now, pop quiz. Which leader do you want to work for and work with? Go ahead and drop me a note in the comments. Do you want leader A, right? Or do you want leader B? Or you could even say, which leader are you most like? Are you most like leader A? Or are you most like leader B? Hi, Emerald. Yeah, welcome to the show. Shoulder roll. We're just talking about mindset today. Mindset part 2. So I just described 2 different leaders. And here's what's true. Most people say they resonate with leader B the most. And most people want to work for and work with leader B. But based on the research, according to Harvard Business Review, HBR, y'all know I love me some HBR, only 5% of leaders embody what we just talked about with leader B. 95% of our managers, our leaders, 95% of us, right? Me, you, we operate like leader A. When it comes to challenges and failure, disagreement, risk, and underperforming employees, we look at it as something to avoid. We look at it as a threat. We look at like, all right, we can't deal with them. How can we get rid of them? How can we just start over and get a new set? All of that. Even though everyone wants leader B, most of us act like leader A, right? And actually that's according to Leadership Now. Only 5% of leaders act like leader A only 5% of leaders act like leader B. Most of us act like, function like, and embody and embrace leader A, even though that may not be what we want to do. So if we're going to get our poop in a group, right? When it comes to mindset, if we're going to rally, what HBR did for us is gave us some different mindsets that we could leverage as we change our minds. Our intelligence is flexible. We are so amazing, so brilliant. Our brains are so powerful. And next week, I'm going to have Dr. Lacey on. She's like the leadership guru and has the neuroscience background to talk about the method to the madness as far as how we show up and how we lead from the front, right? So she's going to be on next week as we get ready to close out mindset. And I, for one, am super jazzed. But if we're going to get it together, Ryan Gottfredson and Chris Reyna give us access to 4 mindsets that we could leverage that they talk about in their article. Some of these mindsets you've probably heard of, and then some of them might be new. I would encourage you, the one that sounds the most interesting, look it up, research it. Let me see if I have this book over here. If I have like quick access. quick presto changer. Look, as usual, like I'm like, oh, I'm glad I'm wearing pants. Well, I'm just glad I'm dressed. Okay, I don't know. I don't have like the quick presto change of access like I normally do. I have my little library right there. But okay, so the first one is growth and fixed mindset. Carol Dweck has a book called Mindset. That's what I was looking for on this little bookshelf over here. If you haven't had a chance to check it out and you're like, oh my gosh, growth and fixed mindset, I've heard of that. I want to learn more. And so originally she was exploring um, growth and fixed mindset in children. And what she found was that this overlays nicely with adults. And a few years ago, growth mindset and fixed mindset caught like wildfire in corporate. I'd say like 5-ish years ago. Or yeah, 4-ish, 5-ish years ago, it started to catch like wildfire in the corporate arena. So if you haven't had a chance to scope out that book, definitely add it to your list. But basically, like with growth and fixed mindset, that is like, you know, you sometimes are resistant because you're like, man, if let's say that you feel like you're really, really good at math and now it's time to take the math to the next level, you kind of don't want to because you're like, man, if I don't do well, then it'll be like, I'm not that great at math anymore. That's having a fixed mindset. Whereas with the growth mindset, you would praise yourself for an effort. You know, the effort that you're putting in, a job well done, like you really did your best, even though maybe you didn't get an A plus or that B plus, you got a C. But you really are trying, and you know that you know that you know that you can adopt this new skill set if you put in the work and put in the effort. And one of the things that she lifts up is this idea of not telling kids, like, you're so smart, but really lifting up, like, aren't you proud of yourself? Aren't you so glad that you tried and did your very best? Because the you're so smart, as soon as they don't do well, it's like, man, I guess I'm not smart. So, growth and fixed mindset are some mindsets that we can explore as we really look at expanding and transforming and exploring the mindset that we want to have going into leadership. Deliberative and implemental mindset was something else that they lifted up, as well as promotion and prevention mindset. And the mindset that I pulled out a little paragraph that we can read about as we get ready to close out is the learning and performance mindset. I found all of them to be really interesting, especially as leaders where we're kind of like, shoot, I know I need to get my mind right. I just don't know where to start or which mindset to adopt. And I know I already have multiple mindsets. How can I start to clean this up? So, learning and performance mindset involves being motivated towards increasing one's competence and mastering something new. And because I'm like, I have a thirst for learning, I love learning in general, always have, this one really spoke to me. So, a performance mindset involves being motivated toward gaining favorable judgments or avoiding negative judgments. There's always like a light side and a bright side and a dark side to all the things, right? About one's competence. Leaders with the learning mindset, compared to those that have the performance mindset, are more mentally primed to increase their competence, engage in deep level learning strategies, seek out feedback, and exert more of an effort, right? And I like to call this discretionary effort. It's kind of like if you ask people to raise their hands and they're like, yes, I want to participate. What kind of discretionary effort are you going to be putting in as you continue to transform and evolve your mindset so that you really can accelerate and lead from every seat that you sit in? And so when you have this learning mindset, you're really persistent, you're adaptable, and you're willing to cooperate. And so when we adopt that as our mindset versus simply like living in that performance space, what happens is we tend to perform at a higher level. So you've got a couple different options. You've got the growth and fixed mindset that you can explore, the deliberative and implemental mindset, promotion and prevention mindset, and then learning and performance mindset. But here's what we know for sure. Mindset and getting our minds together is an entire and total thing. And for me, mindset is something that I am working on because there's just so many things that we tell ourselves that we just don't realize that we're telling ourselves. Whether it's like you're not good enough or how dare you decide to do, like, how dare you quit your job? How dare you pursue X? How dare you go and get a master's degree at your age? Like, whatever crazy talk tracks that we have. And we have to get a hold of our minds, and we have to take certain thoughts prisoners and cast them aside, right? Because they have no say so in this space. Like, if we're going to be amazingly brilliant, right? If we're going to be just absolutely hysterically amazing, then we have to make sure that the thing from which everything else flows is together. And what can we do as corporate hustlers? What can we do as communicators? What can we do as leaders to really get our minds all the way together so that not only can we empower ourselves, not only can we get the energy that we need to do this work and re-energize ourselves when necessary, not only can we get the confidence that we need, we can regain confidence, maintain confidence, we can then impart those things to others because our cup is full enough for us to be able to pour it out. And then we've got the tools to reignite and regenerate as needed, right? Because if we can't replenish, then like, what are we doing, right? What are we doing? So that's all I have for you when it comes to mindset. You know, if there were some gems and nuggets in here where you're like, "Ooh, that was good. I didn't think about it like that." Share this video with another lady leader on Facebook. Just click the little share button right there. On Instagram, click that little paper plane icon right there and share this with another lady leader so that we can move towards the vision that I have. My vision, it's a big vision, y'all, so, you know, it may take a while. My vision is to eliminate bad managers. But if I'm going to eliminate bad managers, I need your help, right? We've got to help everyone turn it up even just a couple notches every quarter so that we can all lead from every seat we sit in, so that the work that we're doing is not for naught, right? It all means something, it can tie together. And because we spend most of our lives at work, why not have a good experience while we do it? Listen, I always say I barely survived corporate. I do not want you to have my journey. I want you to thrive, and I'm here to help. And so if you have listened to this episode or other episodes and you're like, man, I need some help, I definitely would encourage you to reach out. Send me a message, email me at info@dorothyhenriquez.com, and let's talk about coaching. We already know over 75% of organizations say they are crappy at this, right? They are crappy at developing leaders. They're not effective at all. Hi, Rose MKE. I'll shoulder roll. So if we know that our organizations aren't good at helping us develop as leaders, then what's a girl to do? Let me help you. And if I'm not the right coach for you, that's all good. Get a coach though, right? I'm a coach, and even I have a coach. I got multiple coaches, right? Because you want to pick a coach who is going to help you develop, but they also have a thirst for learning and growth so that they can show up powerfully for you. And I've got 3 different programs. And then of course there's power hours too. If you're like, oh, I don't know. But there's power hours as well. So I've got 3 different programs that we could discuss to find out which one makes sense for your leadership needs at this point and at this juncture in your career. But the research says it all. Organizations say they are not good at this. They say they are not ready, and they are always hunting outside of themselves to find the next leaders. That next leader could be you. So I would love to help. In the meantime, share this video. I'll pose for you so that I'm not looking crazy when you share it. Yes. So I will see you all back here next Wednesday. Dr. Lacey is going to be joining us to talk about mindset and leadership and all of the things. So I am super jazzed, and I can't wait. If you've not signed up to be a corporate hustler, click the link in the About section or the bio so that you can join the council and keep with all the exclusive updates, tips, tricks that I talk about there that I don't share here. Until next time, y'all, show the road. Remember, you have to lead from every seat you sit in. Bye. Okay, Facebook. You know you always get the last. Show the road. All right. Bye, y'all.